Morning. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. And today we're gonna talk about emotional immaturity and when emotional maturity goes unchecked. Alright, my bad. There are renovations getting done in the house, something like that. Dad's putting up something. Let's get into it. Alright. Emotional maturity isn't silence, it's self-control. So, I'm not even gonna go for this. If someone says something to you that is messed up, literally, we already know this, it's messed up in your opinion, that doesn't mean that you give them that same energy back. You don't pop off. You could just walk away. It's like, there is a story, not even a story in the Bible. It's like you're not supposed to retaliate. You're just supposed to let it go. Allow them to sit in their energy. Because it's going to come back to them at some point. What you give is what you receive. So if you keep giving people negativity and just things that you don't want, you're projecting, you're just going to keep receiving that. Like, that's not what you actually want. You want positivity, but you just keep giving the energy that you keep receiving back to it. That's not gonna, it's not gonna change it. So, some confuse quiet with wisdom, but maturity is knowing when to speak, how to speak, and why you're feeling what you're feeling. Silence without understanding is just suppression. So, ever since I was little, I didn't really talk much. My sister talks a lot more. But now, I feel like it's kind of directed in the right way now. I feel like before, she was just talking about everything. She had a comment for everything, perspective on everything, and she would just let it out. I would try, of course I tried. But she got it first every time. So I just learned to observe and really think about the words before I say them. Still have a stutter somehow, sometimes. But the words that I do say mainly are intentional. Yeah, just have to think about the things before you say it. Think before you talk. My coworker Zach actually put it perfectly. He said that he had to figure out the words, the entire sentence, before he said it, so he wouldn't mess it up. And I'd say that does kind of make sense, but I'm not sure. Not sure at all. I don't know if I think about the entire sentence before I say it. It really depends on what the sentence is. Because if it's like trying to like crack jokes and stuff like that, stuttering. It's like I didn't grow up to crack jokes with people. Like, my jokes are more logical, and when they actually do come out smooth. If they're not that logical and it's like just to make people laugh, like, I cannot do that. It's so difficult. I'm like, dang. I think that's a reason why I probably do stutter, like, really bad. I can't even get it out type of stutter. Regardless. Point number 2, we're gonna go, when I say, like, men or man, these are things that these aren't gender specific. We are all humans, so you man, everybody's a man, everyone's a human, so we can only hope that everyone's a human, but yeah, everyone should be a human. Never mind. Can you identify as you can't identify as other things than human? Well, let's not even get into that at that point. Hold on. So, point number 2 is a lot of men mistake ego for clarity. So, if you hear like the loudest person in the room and they seem to have it all together, they seem to have Yeah, just everything together. That's not that doesn't necessarily mean that they are able to, I want to say lead, but I feel like everyone is able to lead to some extent. And yes, we are going to make mistakes. It's only a mistake if you don't learn from it. There's things that aren't going to go as planned, but again, we're on God's schedule. So if you're in the wrong placement, you'll know. If you're in the wrong area, you'll know, because things won't go as planned. Like, I want to say that time that I was at the billiards place with my buddy Barlos, and yeah, it got weird in there mad quickly. We were there for like at least 3 hours. We were chilling there, and it was deep, but I wasn't really paying attention. People started coming in like wanted to fight or something. I don't know. It was weird. It was weird energy. It wasn't even like they wanted to fight. It was more so they wanted the billiards table, and we were at that table for 3 hours doing terrible. Hold on. Yeah, I thought this would take shorter than 20 minutes. I've been trying to move decently fast, but not fast enough. We were at the billiards place, and a ton of people started coming in, and guys kept asking for the table, and we were still there doing terrible, like on the same game. We were only there for fun. We weren't there for, performance. We were actually just trying to have a good time. And we did. We had a great time. We ended up playing for 3 hours straight. And the dude was like, yeah, that was like the longest game of billiards ever. Some random dude said that. It was accurate because we were... It's not even like we suck at the game, but I would say we're not that good. We're not the best at it, for sure. We had a good time, though. But, like, people started coming in that I knew. I didn't, like, say hey to them or nothing. But I just knew what they used to get into. And I was like, nah. I think it's about time to go, It's a good time to leave right now. So we dipped out. We ended up going to explore. I'd say there are these things in an area. I'm not saying anything else about that. There are things in an area that say that there's something else, but we went in to check really what it is, and we found out. We did get to explore that. It was pretty fun. We only explored one, but we could only imagine that the other ones are doing the same thing, because why would there be so many cars? Okay, well, I got some quotes here, and then we'll get into point number 3. She's tripping. I don't need nobody. Those are truths. Those aren't truths. They're wounds. Unhealed rejection wears confidence like a mask. I feel like when it comes to certain jokes, like how people joke around and stuff, that is not a joke. That's likely not a joke. But it's like when someone plays off of someone else, it gets tricky there, because you don't know if they're being their true self or you're just being someone else that they learned how to be. All right, point number 3. You can't lead anyone if you can't sit with yourself. Leadership starts with inner peace, not outer control. You're not mature if you keep projecting what you refuse to process. Start reflecting. Sorry, I thought my sisters were coming. Yep, caught it. Hold on. I'm gonna get into something. Yeah, that was right. That took the phone dropped as well. But yeah, I definitely had to stop recording because she made me go get something. But yeah, reflecting. So Friday, I was convicted. Nah, I wasn't gonna say I was condemned. I was just told to stop using ChatGPT. And I didn't agree with it. I'm over here like, what do you think I use ChatGPT for? Because I really don't understand what the guys think I use ChatGPT for. But I 100% explained it. I don't know if it was my first day, but it had to have been my first week. And I was getting, I want to say, grilled with questions. Kind of. It wasn't grilled with questions. But I was asked questions like, "Oh, you're using ChatGPT?" And I was like, "Yeah, I use ChatGPT as therapy." And then I don't know what therapy is to different people. I need to know the definition. Definitely should have written that down. But I use ChatGPT to reflect on the things that I say, the things that I do, the things that I think. Like everything is just a lesson. Everything happens for a reason, so you can learn from everything. So I use ChatGPT to reflect on that. And if you ask ChatGPT, like, is this Christ like? Is like what verse mirrors this experience? You can ask it that, and it'll give you the information. So I use ChatGPT as a tool. I don't use it. I don't know. I don't know how other people use it. Everybody uses it as a tool. A tool. Like I use it as help. If I need to study the Bible, it will help me study the Bible. If I need just more, just for reflecting, I use it to reflect. It's a good way to reflect for sure, and that's how you build some type of emotional maturity. Okay. Number 4, stop calling boundaries disrespect. Okay, so on, I want to say Tuesday or Wednesday-ish, I started feeling like mad sick, mad under the weather, and it just happened to be the day that the second day. No, I think it had to been Monday. I'm not sure. We were working this week heavy. A coworker and I got into it, and I don't think that he was really paying attention to what he was doing when you're saying, but I was. I was there, literally. So he came across as bad, disrespectful, man. Like he was trying to tell me what to do instead of like being like, hey, since you're a helping hand, can you help me out a little bit? It wasn't like that. It was like, you have to help me. Like you don't have a choice, and I'm gonna just throw shit at. Like he was, sorry for my language, he was throwing stuff at me, like literally, and didn't say thank you till after. He was like, yeah, just do this, and maybe it just didn't. It's not something that I would do, so I didn't like that at all. So I was like, yeah, I guess I'll cut the pieces for you. I'll cut the pieces for you. So I'm cutting pieces. Then I toss it back up to him. Don't toss it at me. I can't get it. It's just too much to bend down. I like strategies. I don't like to cause problems at all, because it's like the lift extends. Extend the lift and bend over it. You're just making excuses. When you could literally do it, you just don't want to do it. You just want to complain. But it didn't not end well. It just, we got into it back and forth, but he wasn't really making any sense. He kept, I want to say he kept being dismissive, but I definitely forgot what it was called. It was more so like every single time, like I would say something, he would try to go back to what we were talking about before. He was trying to like reflect in front of me, but he wasn't reflecting on what he was doing. He only was reflecting on what I was doing. He was like, well, I asked you to do this, but like, why didn't you just do it? Just do what I say, essentially. And it was like, you're not understanding the situation. Like, just because you say something doesn't mean that someone has to do it. So I guess I kind of put a boundary there, but it was more so like I was chilling. I was just like, nah, I'm okay. It was like, all right, I want to work with somebody else. All right. Call somebody so I can be switched up, because you can't just be here alone. We ain't even gonna talk about how that worked out. Because lo and behold, the weekend come, something's not right. So my strategy, I don't even care. I don't even need to be right. I feel like that's one of the points here. I don't need to be right. I don't need to be right. Yeah, that's point number 7. We're gonna get into that. I'm gonna keep on going. We're on 4 right now. I'm gonna read this little note here, and we're gonna go on to 5. Someone telling you no isn't rejection, it's protection. Emotional maturity honors limits, even when it's convenient. Truthfully, I don't really force many things. Like, even when you force things, it really doesn't work out as you plan it to. Like, you can force something and it be like nice and smooth at the beginning, but something's gonna start grinding. Something's gonna start going wrong, and then your perspective of that matters. Okay. 5. Hurt people don't always cry. Sometimes they joke too much, stay busy, shut down. But emotional maturity shows up, not just with distance, but with presence. Yeah, I'm not gonna say any names with this story, but I will say that there are traumatic events that people don't reflect on or try to understand, and it doesn't really pan out well. It's like you find your own way to cope with it, and that could come as joking around and stuff like that, like joking around about it, or like beating around the bush and be like, oh well, yeah, no, I just make these jokes. Like, nah, you never figured out why you were making those jokes, because they're a little bit suspicious. That's why I look into I don't know. I observe. It's just how I was growing up. So yeah, it's interesting. Just think about it. Think about how you joke around and why you joke around like that. But there are harmless jokes, though, I will say. But I don't know. I mean, do you? Do you positively? Just do you. Do you positively? Yeah, I'm gonna throw that clip in there, because literally, do you positively? That's all you need to do. Do yourself positively. Don't try to purposely make people upset or make people do negative things. Like, purposefully meaning you know what you're gonna do, what you're doing, and if it will cause someone else, I can't even say stress, because there are certain things that you can do that you really can't control people's emotions. But there are certain things where you're giving like constructive criticism, and that could be seen as negativity, but it isn't, because you're trying to help that person. So it's all about intention. So you can say something to someone and they get fully upset, enraged. That was not negative on your part. That's emotional immaturity showing. Okay, the point number 6 is real growth shows when your pride gets tested. Kind of plays on to what I was just saying. Being calm isn't the win if you're just holding in explosions. But yelling doesn't prove strength either. Growth is how you respond when you want to react. So, like that day, I feel like when I was going in it, I had an interaction with one of my coworkers, because when I placed that boundary, it really felt like I was like yelling at him in some way, but I really wasn't. I was really just proving points. He was like, how are you gonna cut me off when you don't know what I'm gonna say? But again, he was just going back to what we were saying. He was like yelling. He was yelling. I don't know if I was yelling. I feel like I did raise my voice. I wasn't as calm as I normally would talk, I guess. My volume is at least a 5. It's at a 5 out of 10. Unless there's work happening behind it, someone cutting something, someone like, literally it's a construction site. So if it's bad loud, I have to talk at least a 7. Even then, people gotta, come in close to hear me, because I really don't talk that loud. Unless I'm preaching. Y'all heard in the video, that video was mad loud. Regardless, it was, you gotta be, I feel like you have to reflect to know how you respond, or how you would respond. And I 100% I reflect on my responses. You could do that too if you want. Just do what you need to do to be positive, more positive. Because we really, I can't say that we can't move forward. We can't evolve into something positive if we don't start pushing to positivity. And just check yourself before you do, like, give I don't know. You do you. If you don't think that you should check yourself before trying to criticize somebody or just trying to give them constructive criticism, then maybe you don't have discernment. Like, I mean, if you have like a suggestion for somebody and you always give it to them, clock it. You clock it every time. I don't think that's how you say that, because clocking is just like making points on people's actions. That's what I learned this weekend. More so, you give that energy back every single time. Like, someone does something wrong, you say something about it. Someone does something wrong, you do something about it. I don't think that works out that well, because your wrong is different than their wrong. So what I learned, I think this is going to play on the next one. So what I learned from that interaction with my coworker is, just because my dad's early days, he works in the same field, but of course he has 20 years of experience. So I only have 3 years of experience. Yeah, actually almost 4. Nope, almost 3. I started this career in 2022. Yeah, 2022. Regardless, when I had called my grandma after this interaction because, needed some wisdom. She has experience. Call an older person who reflects. Don't even take that advice, because I know older people who might not give the best advice, but that's when discernment comes in. You have to discern. Discernment can only come from God. Just ask for wisdom. Just ask. All you gotta do is ask for wisdom and live a Christ-like life. Regardless, my dad, at his beginning stages in this career, he would get frustrated when people didn't like, he had a plan in his head about something, and someone would play it differently. Like, they would do it differently, and he would get upset because of that. He would get frustrated because it didn't go how he planned. But it doesn't matter how you get there, as long as the result is the same. Like, the end is the same. Just allow people to work their own process. And I think that when the other day, I didn't really say much when they were trying to solve a problem, mainly because I was just discerning. I had the solution. No one asked, like, what's going on or nothing. And you don't always have to be asked to have a solution. But I got up there. I wasn't about to, like, dog walk the cable. I just went back, untangled the cable. Obviously, I had to cut it to do that. Cut it, untangled it, then tied it back. We were good. We kept on going. But yeah, I definitely could have, like, stopped, did that, and then went back. But shoulda, coulda, woulda. I can only do it next time. And again, everything happens for a reason, and we're not on my schedule. We're on God's schedule. So I'm just gonna keep discernment. That's why you should have discernment, because if a situation happens and you get upset, or you get upset at the situation, and you get upset at someone for doing something that doesn't necessarily cross your boundaries, like, what that person's going through, and they're coming to you with the best intentions, and you just take it wrong, that's when you should probably just start, reflecting. Because you would play the situation back and be like, oh, well, that person really wasn't attacking me. They were just trying to be understood. But it seemed like just because their voice was raised and they were speaking aggressive, it seemed like they were attacking me. but maybe it wasn't an attack. Maybe it was just a beacon for help. Um, I think that's how I see most interactions, honestly. Not the one with that interaction, but more so the interaction on Friday. But again, if someone doesn't ask you for help, it's kind of hard to navigate. So that's why you just give people time and just pray that they have emotional maturity. Just pray that they get better. Pray that God blesses them so that they can grow. They can keep growing. Okay. Well, maturity. This is the last point. We're almost done here, and then I'm gonna let y'all go have a great day. I'm not even gonna let y'all. Y'all could already have been having a good day. I don't have control over your days. You do. Your perspective does. God, at the end of the day, God has control. But you have a perspective that you can control. All right. Last but not least, maturity. Maturity says, even if I'm right, I don't need to win. Peace is more valuable than proving a point. Sometimes your silence is wiser than your explanation. Emotional maturity isn't perfection, it's presence. It's the moment you choose wisdom over wounds. And if no one ever taught you that, if no one ever taught you how to do that, now you know. So now you grow. I feel like you know exactly what that means. Do I have to read it again? Absolutely, yes. So, choose wisdom over wounds. Choose to build your wisdom. Choose wisdom over wounds. I feel like that spoke for itself. Honestly, I hope that y'all got the message in this video. And yeah, I'm about to just go cut some cabbage and help my dad out where he needs to be helped out. And I just hope y'all have a great day, a great morning, great afternoon, great month, a great year. And I'll catch y'all in the next one. All right, peace.